Dear friends, glad to see you all on Feygin Live. It is Monday, 22nd of August. Time is 2 minutes past 10 in Kiev, and we're doing another stream. We have day 180. Yep, day 180 with Olexiy Arestovich. Good to see you, Mark, Kostya. Dear viewers, we have over 180,000 watching us live. Please share links to that stream. Subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovich, and to the privateer station wherever you are listening to that in English if you have not done that yet. I want to say that after that stream is over, I'm going to do another one with Ilya Ponomarev, dedicated to the explosion in Moscow suburbs, and death of Dugina, and so-called National Republican Army, as if it is investigated by Russian FSB. So you've missed a lot, Olexiy. If you've been here yesterday, we would have addressed it yesterday, but we can catch up today. All right, let's start with the front. Front will not take too many words from us. No major changes. The only area where some change occurs is Kherson, down in the south. They threw a few additional battalion tactical groups. They even transported them to another bank of Dnieper. And now they're targeting from Alexandrovka to Posad Pokrovsky. They're trying to push us away right near the sea, further out towards Nikolaev, and they're failing. They're rather failing at these tasks. But unlike any other days, at least on that part of the front, there is some activity. We continue to take out their warehouses, logistics, and command outposts. We hit Antonov Bridge again. And daily we usually take about 3-4 ammo depots. I wonder how many days more will the brave Putin's army, and I using the word brave here without any sarcasm, because under such an intensive shelling, a lot of armies of the world would have already folded. When you're losing several big ammo dumps, lose people who are guarding them, and also a couple of command outposts with higher ranking officers. So people who continue to stand under all that fireworks, they deserve some sort of very narrowly specialized professional respect, but they do have a problem. And they did show that in Kiev too, that even in craziest circumstances, they had enough will to continue fighting. But there is one big drawback with such a situation. Problem is when a strong-willed man breaks, it is much worse than when a weak-willed man does, because then it folds rapidly and the situation changes by minute. That happened once in Kherson when they started to withdraw after a few successful strikes on Chernobyevka. Our guys who were trying to keep shooting at them, they basically said that the Russians were fleeing at a speed of 50-70 miles an hour on the big military machines, Smerch type MLRS system. So they were really driving fast out of the front area. Then apparently somebody had enough will, and the evening of that night, most of them returned back to their positions. But I'm predicting the day we break their will, the withdrawal will be very rapid. And I'm being shy when I say 3-4 hits. These are 3-4 that we can already track and verify, because every day we'll already get roughly about 7 to 8 reports. And we are tracking their internal transmissions and radio conversations. There's a lot of despair. And without major offensive from our side, I see that we can break their front with HIMARS and artillery and other munitions. And the downfall may be much faster than we would have expected. And Crimea already shows direction where everything is going to. So I would say with the military bravery, Russian army is all right, but with the civil bravery, civil courage, they totally lack that to say anything against their insane leadership. So I get more questions here. People are asking, is anything happening with the bridge? Do they still have a connection between the banks? Yeah, the bridge is still there. Antonov Bridge is still working. They are carefully and in small groups crossing the bridge. Remember that tweet I actually put on Twitter today? It is still being used by single cars and smaller groups of infantry, and this is not an easy thing to destroy a bridge. Its capacity fell down dramatically, but it's still there. So when people ask you about destruction of Crimea Bridge, this is not an easy task. So what perspective do we have now with Crimea in relation to the hits on that, possible hits on that Crimean bridge connecting Russia with Ukrainian territory? I do not suffer from amnesia, but I understand that, and I'm sorry for asking this question again, but I suspect at some point you will, guys, shoot up that bridge as well. Probably at some point we might, but Antonov Bridge already shows the perspectives of artillery strike on these targets. Crimean Bridge, to be effectively damaged, you need tactical nuke or something like that. We don't have those, and even if we did, we probably wouldn't be using them in this war. Symbolic strike, yeah, we could probably do that, but one should not expect it to disrupt the connection. All right. Then let's go to the next question. We have 320,000 watching us live. Over 75,000 click the like button. We've been online for just 8 minutes. Please share links in your social media. Share it with people who need to see that or listen to it. Let's go to the next subject connected with Moscow again. The death of daughter of their ideologist Dugin. FSB already published some materials accusing in that explosion of the vehicle belonging to Dugin himself, and his daughter was driving. I think it was Pajero model. As they're saying, it was Ukrainian military with the last name Vovk, who apparently came, as they're saying, came from Ukraine, rented an apartment with her daughter and the cat in the same building where that deceased was living. And they drove a Mini Cooper on the videos they have. Again, we understand nobody can trust FSB, they can fabricate anything, but these are the materials they already showed and accused Ukrainian special services in destruction and explosion of that vehicle and death of Daria Dugina. What can you say about that? Why would Ukrainian services need to kill Dugina? Let's discuss that. Well, I don't have an answer to that. So, why then Russia would need to accuse Ukrainian special services? I think we know the answer, but... Oh, that's simple. Yeah, they want to accuse us and call us terrorists, and also they're saying that the person who did who created that explosion was an Azov detachment serviceman, so they're heating up the situation around Azov. I have a version that Dugin was not the target. She was the target. and it was either Russian special services, like FSB, or somebody near or related to them. And most likely it was somehow money connected. I suspect either her or her father did not share money with somebody, because, Mark, in 90% of cases, it is related to money. Maybe they took somebody else's budget, maybe did not share enough, and most likely it was dad, but through his daughter they showed him that he does need to obey. So, can one suppose that daughter and father were directly connected with special services? Because in Russia these days, it's definitely somebody connected with the current government structures. And there was a version floating around in the media sphere that they were distributing Putin's government money to some Western and Southern political parties. These versions are already discussed in France and in Turkey. Because I have a question, though. Why trust these money to the 30-year-old something gal? They do have other structures and political system representatives. So most likely it is not her. It is her dad. Is her dad such a prominent figure? I don't know, but A, I doubt it's her, and B, it seems like it could have been him. And I'm 100%, okay, 99% sure that this murder was money inspired. And this was more of a lesson to her dad, so to say, for some conflict that they had. There'll be a lot of insinuations about that situation, and one of the possible versions that come out, this is also will be a reason to escalate and the destruction of remnants of Russian opposition, whoever is still left there. Plus, it will authorize Russian special services to carry out murders outside of Russia. So kill Ponomarev, you, me, people like that. See, they're killing us, we can kill them. Possible, Mark, but what else does it give them? Well, nothing, you're right. Even the war is not giving them much, only makes things worse. True, but killing anybody, it depends, Mark. If they kill any of the opposition, okay, one thing. If they kill any of the Ukrainian officials or somebody symbolic on the Ukrainian side, they're cutting off any walks to the negotiation table. So every act like that pushes back the possibility for negotiations by a month or further, and the troops will be continued to slowly die under our artillery fire. All right. Personally, I saw Dugin a couple times. This live on Florian Gear, Gaidar Jamal introduced me, and I never talked to him after. And there is a photo online with you and Dugin at the press table. Did you talk to him? Oh yeah, I did talk to him. You were with Kravchinsky and you had a communication with him? Yeah, me and Kravchinsky came to Russia, and we saw him that day. I remember when we met. We were hungry. We just arrived after a long trip, and we asked if there is anything to eat, and his aide brought herring wrapped in a newspaper, like for real newspaper, that produced an impression, and it was a fasting time. That's why they were trying to maintain some semblance of proper food for that. And his people were taking us around, showing us places. His people organized a press conference. Good guys, generally, ex-FSB colonels. Good guys, I guess, in Russian parlance. And they also showing us Khokhovsky Pereulok in Moscow. That was the area where the representative of Ukrainian power lived. And I was impressed. The palace of the embassy was huge. And it produced in me impression. I thought it was about half the size of Louvre. And they were telling us a lot of historical episodes about the effect of Ukrainian ambassadors on Russian inner politics. And they also talked to us about some of the nobility, like Trubetsky brothers dedicated quite a bit to the research and influence of Ukraine on Russian life, and basically highlighted that the size of Ukrainian influence on Russia life and Russian society was huge. And not in the times when recent times when we know Khrushchev, Brezhnev, who were originally coming from Ukraine, but also before, back in the 1800s and earlier. And there was a guy, I think his last name was Frolov. Oh yeah, I remember that one. He's still alive somewhere. And he was in Chaplin circles. He was pretty active. Do you know that he is actually not a Russian or Jew? He's Russian or Ukrainian. He's actually a Jew. I would not be surprised. He's pretty quick on his feet. He's a quick thinker. He's a sharp fella. So you were there on business errands? Yeah, sure. You know, I'm not denying that. This is our work. So you had to control and check things. That's why you were there? Of course, Mark. You need to check when I retired from the official service and when I was in Moscow. Check these dates and you'll see. So it's simple. It's work, Mark. Oh, okay, so we can retire the subject. Mark, I'm afraid the subject will never be retired. It's very tasty for them, so they'll continue making different accusations. They're also accusing you that you are gay. Well, Mark, that is an interesting accusation. Back in the day, some people actually told me that the cost of this kind of services in Moscow were like $600. Oh yeah, that you're referring to deep fake they made. Exactly. So yeah, $600 per call. Back in those days, my salary was $300 a month. And also in that deepfake, there were some white socks. Mark, I don't wear white socks. I know, it's deepfake. So everybody who asks questions in chat, I try to ask all these questions, that his official documents are forged and faked up. So I did try to address major concerns and conspiracies from the popping up in the chat. All right, next question, more serious one. Let's talk about Zelensky's statement that said if you will actually decide to go ahead with the court martial of our combatants in Mariupol, there'll be no negotiations, period. Is there any way to resist or prevent that court? In Mariupol, where in the theater they're already putting cages. I don't know what more serious can be than the statement of a president. Oh, maybe bomb it. Bomb it before they get there. Mark, yeah, this is an advice of cosmic proportion. And after that, we'll have to explain the whole world that we did not bomb it the first time when it was Russians and now it's us. This is a very strong statement by President. And in the background, Russians keep looking for a way to negotiate, to sit down at the table of negotiations. This is a very strong statement. And we also are sending certain inquests into the international court systems that one side is doing court during the times of war over the combatants. Oh yeah, we talked about that. This is a violation of Geneva Convention. One side of the conflict cannot carry out things like that against the combatants, official combatants of the other side during the war. So this is a criminal situation then, if they get themselves into it. And this is criminal according to United Nations. And it likely will end up in Hague, again, in Hague Tribunal. And they need to understand they're making it much more difficult for any possible constructive discussion to happen in the future. And when we kick their butts out of Crimea, out of Donbass, and the rest of Ukraine, if we sit down at the table with them to negotiate, our position would be much harder. So I would say once again, those Kremlin creatures, give it a thought 3 times or 5 times over before even going there, because everybody involved in that personally will be targeted after. This will not be an easy thing to wash off your biography. And they're already trying to connect the murder of Dugina with these Azov accusations and Ukraine attacking Russia. Oh, we haven't even started yet. All right. Okay, let's go to the next serious matter. Weapons, armaments. Americans said that they're going to sign contract to supply Ukraine new model of advanced kamikaze drone. I'm actually reading Kremlin news, so I'm trying to give some of them, the ones that are somewhat related to reality. I'm reading them out loud, so I would not get accused that I'm just reading the side of Ukrainian president, and you're also paid by Zelensky and you're doing anything to support him. So we're quoting here Russian propaganda. So, do you guys getting switchblades? Yeah, we are. We were getting 300 model. Switchblade 300 is a weapon. One needs to understand what it is. It was developed for, imagine, US troops in Afghanistan that go out or sit at the block post, and they launch this one in the near vicinity to find people who are maybe walking on a small path somewhere in the mountains, 3 or 4 of them. That will take them out. If they're equipped, if they have body armor and helmets, the devastation, destructive effect quickly diminishes. So 600 is a more sophisticated model that is supposedly capable of destroying light armor vehicles. We have not had 600s before. Probably they were expecting us to train on the 300s, but we finally at that milestone. So General Secretary of United Nations Antonio Guterres also made a statement that currently the world is at rather high risk of nuclear conflict. So do you think his words are correct regarding the risks of nuclear conflict? I think he refers to Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and the shelling happening there. And he estimates that situation to be a high risk. We understand what political creature he is, but still. This also is a part of a discussion, a bigger discussion that happened about about a week ago about Iran and their nuclear program and other things in the world. But yeah, Zaporozhye power plant is definitely part of that statement. Do you think there's any motion, anything happening around it? Well, the discussion is still happening around the International Commission, MAGATE, to come visit it. So, all right. I'm reading the stream. There are several different statements about the murder of Dugina. Americans, United Nations, all call for investigation. That's curious. Who will be investigating? Russian FSB? Yeah, they already know who is responsible. Are they suggesting to send FBI to look into that? Right. Maybe they'll find something. Okay. Let's go back to Kremlin. Putin awarded Dugina an Order of Courage, and there are statements from different officials that this crime will not be left without consequences. And they're also increasing situation, increasing awareness of the Russian-Ukrainian border, and there are voices about strengthening that, because they did show the video of her going to Russia and leaving Russia in her vehicle with her daughter, the suspect in that case. So, do you think they'll also be limiting visa issuance on the Russian side? We understand there are some restrictions coming from Europe, but do you think Russia is also capable of shutting down the doors from within? So how would real spies leave the country? You mean real spies? Russian spies? Yeah, real ones. What's the problem? They can leave anytime. Well, Mark, if they close doors and don't let anyone out, but somebody still gets out, then whoever can is definitely a spy. You can just start tracking them right from the border. In the modern world, it is difficult to conceal data. You can only conceal it by dispersing it in the bigger bucket of data. So the only way to somewhat conceal your spies traveling out is to hide them in a bigger flow of people leaving the country or traveling in and out. Plus, I don't think they'll follow that through internally, because that's part of their societal agreement to have some freedom. But they never subscribed to repressions. They did not subscribe to the borders being closed. And this is St. Petersburg and Moscow that still can travel to Venus and other parts of Europe and the world. So closing doors, what would be the target of that? What would be the reasoning behind such a step? Yeah, it's a difficult one, Olexiy. Totalitarian system, I think, can only escalate things. So they'll be cutting out the rights and opportunities. Mark, in Russia they have a very advanced tracking system. If one takes your receipt from 2015, one can bring up data from that year and track everything you've done that day by the CCTV cameras or other data points of entry. So it's much easier to track like that than just blanketly do blanket repressions on the whole country. So it's probably easier to target the known opponents, known vocal opposition, than blanketly hit everybody. All right, that's a point of view. We're almost 30 minutes live, over 300,000 watching us. Let's talk about sanctions on the background of that new escalation. We can see that the sanctions are somewhat slowing down. They're not really keeping up with Russian crimes. No, I don't think they're slowing down. It's just a very intensive work happening in the system over that. We got also to the level where it's much more difficult to imagine. Next step would be what? Cut off gas completely to Europe. So these steps are much heavier and take more work. What about personal sanctions? Even personal, that also take work, because that's touching upon the personal private property of people, and financial investigators need to confirm that these money are coming from corrupt sources, they're not coming from legal sources, and they're basically laundering Putin's money or something like that. And one thing is knowing, another is being able to prove. I would remind you that in Intel, estimating the motives and estimating the capabilities, and basically estimating capabilities and estimating intentions are two separate subjects. And even Israel got in that matter problem a while back when they understood that they could have been attacked at a certain time, but they misunderstood the intentions of their foes. The famous Egyptian double spy who gave them all the data back in the 70s, and they paid a big price for that because they didn't believe it, because judging the intent is difficult. And the same thing here, those people who are bringing certain persons to be sanctioned, they need to prove. Everybody understands, but you do need some base. You do need some material base to prove these accusations, and it takes time. But the work goes on. And I want to say that if anybody is to die as a response to Daria Dugina's death, it'll be much easier with the sanctions. That'll speed them up. Oh, Russian propagandists, they're kind of getting scared after that event. All these Solovyov and Simonyan, you can hear fear in their voices. Yeah, they... You also need to understand. I understand they're squeamish now, but if it was Ukraine really targeting and carrying out our operations with that, we would have targeted better targets. We would have targeted some power people in Moscow, official power, special services, military, higher command. But taking out a 30-year-old gal who had something to say on the media, not really a reasonable target. But they'll continue pushing that subject. Oh yeah, absolutely, they'll keep peddling it. So imagine what is the death of a propagandist. You basically martyrize him and you're making a hero out of that person. So everything that she said before will have a heavier meaning, will be split apart for quotations, they'll put a few monuments. And then her bright image will still be used to carry Putin's orders to the people. So that's why she is not a legit target for us. In 20 minutes today, I'll talk with Ilya Ponomaryov, another Russian dissident, who said that the autonomous underground national army took responsibility for that. I'd rather believe in a national army of something like that than special services. Because sending a person to Moscow to assassinate Daria Dugina, Moscow is full to the brim with other much better targets. So you're not disappearing anywhere? You're here tomorrow? Yeah, no, I'm disappearing tomorrow. Again? We're being cursed in the chat. I know, Mark. Okay. So tomorrow Arestovych disappears, on Thursday he's back, on Wednesday I'm back. Tomorrow is Tuesday, on Wednesday I'm back. Wednesday is our Independence Day in Ukraine. We'll need to be talking. Today is 180th day of war, officially 6 months, right? Almost a calendar half. So many things joining here. Independence Day, half a year of this war. So tomorrow Olexiy Arestovych will not be here. He'll be the day after. He'll be on Wednesday. Let's also run over our charity program. As you remember, we keep our merch shops open, and we're using the money that we get to support people who suffered the consequences of this war, of Putin's aggression. So the money that we sent to Zakhar Biryukov, remember that Ukrainian soldier who lost 3 limbs, so we sent money to his wife. We also sent some money to the family of a girl from Nikolaev. We just sent it, so hopefully they'll get it timely. This is the girl who, I think, lost her eye in the recent shelling. So it is, I think, somewhat related to Privat Bank in Ukraine that limits the amount of transactions. Um, that's okay, Mark. If anything, I think it's the monthly limit they may have, and after that you can continue doing it. We'll find a way to transfer. And we do have another candidate. There is a story we're showing a photo from Kharkov, a family. Mother was a chess player. I don't know what level. His last name is Kutap, and remember that famous picture where he's holding the hand of his dead son, and their daughter also suffered. Kubatov, his last name. So, 13-year-old guy died. Their son, his sister, is alive, but also suffered in these explosions. And yeah, here's another picture, mother with son and daughter. The boy died. We reached out to their dad, to their father, and transferring money to support family in these difficult times to help with some logistics. She is undergoing treatment, so this is our next target for help. We'll continue doing that in the future. We have more funds. Thank you for your purchases. And we'll continue transferring money to the victims of this war. All right. Thank you, Olexiy. Thank you for the stream. We're waiting for you on Wednesday then, and the Independence Day. Don't disappear too far. And we're waiting for all of you in our next streams. Come again. Thank you, and see you later.